So we know it's spring break for a lot of folks, and others are just planning that trip, hopefully trying to get away. Here in the Charlotte area, the airport putting out notices to have patience because the lines at TSA might be a little bit long because of the partial government shutdown. And with the price of oil going up due to the conflict in Iran, how is that affecting travel airfares as we look towards summer travel? So we needed to bring in an expert, travel expert, Katie Nastro from Going, joining us here on Live Impact News. Katie, thanks for taking the call here last minute. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so for the millions of Americans planning to fly out soon, what are we looking at these days?
Yeah, unfortunately, we are in I believe it's day 27 now of the partial government shutdown. And what that means is that we're starting to see the ripple effects of what we've seen in shutdowns past, meaning that these TSA workers are now getting a paycheck with a zero in the compensation portion. So that means they're expected to show up day in and day out without receiving any pay. And that can really take a financial strain on them. And so we're starting to see those call outs occur. And there is no clear directive as to when exactly if and when this is going to happen at your airport. But what we can say is it's starting to happen across the system. And so you need to be aware that this is a possibility. You could expect to see some delays when you get to the airport and you're processing through. So our biggest piece of advice over at Going is, yes, you can download the My TSA app that will give you historical info as to how long you should expect to wait. But because of spring break occurring across the country, we want travelers to give yourself even more time on top of everything else because it's going to be busy and because of the shutdown, as well as checking the Charlotte Douglas International Airport website directly, which actually gives you real-time updates, as well as the app for the airport, which I would say is actually a better estimate of real-time updates and estimates because there are more boots on the ground, and because that My TSA app is not exactly using real-time data because of what's going on. So biggest piece of advice is checking the airline's website and planning accordingly, but of course listening to mom and dad, giving yourself more time than you think you need.
Yeah, we've seen some airports like Houston, I believe, New Orleans, with 3-hour waits just to get through security. I can't even imagine. So good advice there. So then, is this a good time to book flights? People are kind of holding off. What to do? We feel like we're in a little bit of booking the airfare limbo here.
Yeah, and great question, and it's one that we've seen pop up across social media, across from our members, and it's really what you should do now because of what's going on currently geopolitically. So. Our first things first, we want people to understand that this is actually the great time to be booking your summer airfare anyway. So this should really be more sort of a push for people to get on top of it. It's kind of like that final boarding call, like you should be doing this anyway, especially because of what's kind of unfolding. And we don't necessarily know how long this conflict may last. So again, it's just a good reminder that you should be getting on top of this anyway. Now, we haven't seen any crazy spikes in airfare in the way of domestic prices. We have heard of some international airlines already imposing an increase because of the price of oil. Those are specific international carriers. That's not necessarily a U.S. carrier that has come out and rightly said that they're going to increase fares by X percentage. So we don't want to cause alarm, but we do want people to be aware and just encourage them to be booking their summer travels anyway. But one thing that we would encourage people to do, even if it's a little bit more on the upfront cost, book that main economy ticket because you want that flexibility to be able to take advantage of any price fluctuations that we're likely to see because volatility is certain for the future. Nothing is certain except volatility in the sort of short and medium term. So when you book a main economy ticket versus basic economy ticket, you're able to call the airline and get that repriced at that lower cost and then get the credit back. So you're able to then use that credit for future times when we might see airfare sort of spike. So Biggest piece of advice is give yourself that flexibility and the opportunity to take advantage of price drops by booking that main economy ticket versus a basic economy fare.
And let's talk real quick about safety for those, I know a lot of folks have Dubai as a bucket list, for example, going to regions of the Mideast, which are now dealing with level 3, level 4 safety advisories, parts of Mexico last month with the cartel happening, but that's not all of Mexico. What do you say to folks who have these bucket list trips and that are now concerned about what's happening in different parts of the world?
Having concern for international travel right now is definitely a valid sort of knee-jerk response, but we don't want people to just go in with fear for every single trip that they're about to take. Now, obviously, there are areas of the world that it is in your best interest to avoid for the current time period, but that doesn't necessarily mean 9 months from now, 12 months from now, that you won't be able to travel and tick off that bucket list trip to, say, Dubai or elsewhere. So we want people to be aware of what's going on, but then also remember that the world is a big place, not to go into it blindly, but to equip yourself with the necessary documentation or announcements or just any sort of information that will give you the best sort of peace of mind when you do travel. One thing I sort of love to point to is the Foley Foundation has this really great resource for travelers, as sort of a travel safety guide. And one of the things that they talk about within it is this rule of stupids. And it's just a good reminder. Don't do anything stupid with stupid people at stupid times of the day, especially at night. So sort of just a funny but very timely reminder that, if your spidey senses are off, if you're feeling unsure, or are you going to even enjoy your trip at all, or are you just going to be worried the entire time? It's a good idea to maybe reassess and rethink of rebooking for the future.
Good words. Good reminders, and I'm going to remember that certainly as well. Don't be stupid.
Yes,
Don't be stupid.
we all can take a page out of the rule of stupid sometimes.
Oh, that's good when it boils down to it, right? Katie
Exactly.
Nastro from Going, appreciate your time and weighing in on what's happening. A lot of eyes are on the travel industry and what they should do. All right, appreciate you. Thanks.